Masks are no longer required in Coeur d'Alene public schools. Instead, they're now just strongly recommended. What that means for your student tonight. Plus, the #1 recruit in the class of 2021 officially heading to Gonzaga next year. The latest on the 2 big announcements for the program.
The weather calmed down today and the sunshine's going to help warm us up this week. But now I'm tracking some rain chances by the time we get to the weekend.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Regina is off tonight. Starting Wednesday, students and staff within the Coeur d'Alene School District will no longer have to wear masks. Tonight, the district's board narrowly voted to change district policy from requiring masks to strongly recommending them. Let's get right to our Casey Decker, who joins us now to break down that debate. Casey?
Well, Mark, like you said, it was a narrow vote, as narrow as it gets. 3 board members in favor of the change and 2 opposed. But 3 is all it took, and soon masks will no longer be required. The Board of Trustees for Coeur d'Alene Public Schools has been debating its mask policy for months, and as the school year draws to an end, they've faced increased pressure from some parents to remove the requirement that students and staff wear masks in school. Some went as far as to stage a protest outside Lake City High School. The pressure was further amplified by a controversial decision by the Panhandle Health District to end its own mask mandate, a decision that left the rules for inside the classroom in the hands of the board. And tonight at a special board meeting, demonstrators once again showed up with signs calling for an end to the mask requirement.
This area breathes freedom and it needs to remain that way.
And it wasn't long before the board members made their stances clear. 2 members wanted to keep some type of masking requirement in place, fearing not only outbreaks, but that unmasked students who get exposed to COVID would have to quarantine and miss school regardless of whether they actually got sick.
We've heard from many people that would request that we continue with our masking policies as is right now, who are concerned about upcoming activities and those types of things, who want to see us stay the course.
I think we're going to risk students missing out on important events in the next 5 weeks, and I would hate to see that.
3 members, however, said it's simply time to end the requirement, fearing the metrics they'd have to meet under the current model are simply unattainable.
I feel like we need to move at some point, and I don't think anyone wants to see the continuation of this school year next year. For me, it's time.
The social aspect of it and struggling with reading your teacher's mouth, you can't read your teacher's lips, you can't see that. I just look at all those other impacts and then I weigh against how many cases of COVID we have. And I just really feel compelled that if we're gonna make that move, that it's an appropriate time to do that. Now, I say that with the caveat of I strongly encourage our students to wear their masks.
So the board voted 3-2 to change the wording of its COVID policy. Starting Wednesday, rather than reading masks are required, it will read masks are strongly recommended. In 2 separate motions, they decided that ought to apply to staff as well as students. And then in a 3rd motion, the board did actually carve out one exception to this change. If there's an outbreak at a particular school, district administration will look at COVID data and public health guidelines, and they'll be given the power to require masks at that particular school. That motion passed unanimously. But bottom line here, starting Wednesday, masks strongly recommended but no longer required within CDA public schools. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
Casey, thank you very much. Meantime, new details tonight in the murder of a North Spokane mother. It has been a week since Cassie was found dead in her garage, her daughter seriously injured. The suspect, 41-year-old Joshua Phillips, faced a judge for the first time today. He is charged with second-degree murder and second-degree attempted murder. Court documents reveal more about what happened leading up to the crime. We are choosing not to report the victim's last name to protect the family's privacy. According to court documents, Cassie and the suspect had been living together since last June. She kicked him out 2 days before the murder. Cassie's family told detectives she received several, quote, disturbing messages from Phillips after she kicked him out. They changed her locks on the doors to prevent Phillips from getting back in. Investigators say Cassie and her daughter were stabbed multiple times, likely with a knife. Investigators also learned the 5-year-old, Lily, she was taken to the hospital, and a medic heard her, quote, saying, "The man stabbed me." Police found Phillips' vehicle parked about a block from Cassie's home. According to court documents, Phillips said he had been in the garage trying to commit suicide for 2 hours. The judge kept his bond at $1.5 million. Washington State University's spring game is just a week away, but the university announced fans will not be permitted at the game. Only a limited number of coach and player guests will be allowed to attend in person. That means that when WSU fans see their team in September, it'll have likely been, or rather been nearly 2 years since they've seen the football team in person. The game begins at 2 on Saturday. It will be broadcast on the Pac-12 network. Idaho Governor Brad Little has signed into law a new bill legalizing the production and transportation of hemp with up to 0.3% of THC. THC is the compound in cannabis that gets people high. Idaho was the last state to legalize the production and transportation of hemp. However, the new law does not allow the sale of hemp products containing any amount of THC in the state of Idaho. Well, all day we have been seeing the aftermath of last night's powerful windstorm. Check out this photo sent in by KREM 2 viewer Jody Berry of her greenhouse. You can see it's kind of listing to the side right there, nearly toppled over. We want to see your photos from last night's destructive storm. Just head to the Near Me section in the KREM 2 app, and your photos could be featured right here on our broadcast. With that, I want to get straight out to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. Thomas, not nearly as windy as tonight, though a bit colder, right?
Yeah, it's been plenty colder, especially throughout the day today. All because where the winds came from yesterday, that was a cold front that moved across the area, and the winds were gusting upwards of 50 miles per hour in some parts across the region. That from last night. Even though Spokane's maximum wind gust at 47, that was out at the airport near Airway Heights. I think here in the South Hill, those winds were quite a bit stronger, at least from my observation. But those temperatures today only in the mid-50s, so almost 20 degrees colder today from what it was yesterday. That was the strength of the cold front, but we'll continue to see the sunshine in the coming days, but not before another cold night out ahead of us. In fact, some areas in northern Washington, North Idaho might see a freeze out there for tonight. So again, a little bit too early to plant those gardens or try to get any flowers going just yet. We'll give it another week or two and we will be safe from that. There are freeze warnings for southern Washington just because it's the growing season there. It's not technically the growing season here yet, so we don't see those alerts issued quite at this moment. Winds tomorrow only about 10 to 15 miles per hour at most, so honestly should be a pretty good day with more sunshine in store. Look for warmer weather to start the week, but then rain chances come into play for the back half of the week. So I'll be detailing day by day when to expect those rain chances for the area. All coming up in a few minutes.
I guess we need the rain, Thomas. Thank you very much. Everyone 16 and older in the U.S. now eligible for the coronavirus vaccine, and locally providers are keeping up with the demand. The newest locations in the inland Northwest offering the vaccine coming up next. Plus, the #1 recruit in the class of 2021, Chet Holmgren, has committed to Gonzaga. We'll have more on the most important day, at least one of them, in Gonzaga basketball history, coming up later in the broadcast.